Okay, everyone, thank you all for coming. Hopefully you can hear me. If not, wave and someone will come and help. So I'm going to talk to you today. My clicker's not working, so I'm just going to click on there. About my company, Inmarsat, and what we're doing with Tableau. So at first, I'll tell you about how we use Tableau to pay for Tableau, and then what we're doing next. But first, I'm going to tell you a bit more about Inmarsat. So just show of hands, has anyone heard of Inmarsat before? Okay, more than I was expecting, great. Okay, so we provide mission critical connectivity, communications, where terrestrial networks either don't work or don't exist. So in other words, imagine you're on a boat in the middle of the ocean. Probably looks a little bit like this, right? Still waters, beautiful sun, amazing yacht. But what happens if the weather changes and it gets a bit choppy and you get into distress? You can't just pick up your mobile or your cell and call for help. You need Inmarsat. So we started off as a maritime safety organization back in the 70s. And from there we've progressed. We're now on any vessel over 500 gross tons. We also partner with the Volvo Ocean Race, which has been called the most grueling race that a human can put themselves through. But we're not just in the sea. We also exist on planes. So how many of you actually flew to New Orleans for the conference? Yeah. So 90% of you will have experienced a flight with Inmarsat safety on board. We'll have been providing all of the connectivity from as soon as the plane has taken off to the very minute it lands. We also provide onboard Wi-Fi so that you can all check your work emails or Insta your selfies. And we're also on land. So we're partnering with Telecom Sans Frontières. We do amazing work with them. In times of crisis, natural disaster, or conflict, we're the first service to be deployed before any aid gets there. The connectivity is in place so that as soon as aid arrives, they can communicate where to go and where it needs to be. Now, in New Orleans, we were here 13 years ago in the wake of Hurricane Katrina, so I'm not the first to be here from Inmarsat. I'm also not the best at telling the story. We have an amazing media and marketing team at Inmarsat, so they're going to tell you a bit more about what we do and why we do it.
22,000 miles in the silence of space, Inmarsat is in touch, making millions of connections every hour, keeping the audio and data flowing to every corner of the globe. Our satellites are connecting the disconnected wherever, enabling communication in a fast-paced world, saving time, money, and transforming lives, making the difference every single day. We keep people in touch in many different ways, keeping those in remote places in touch with a voice from home, keeping everyone talking when other systems have failed, ensuring information keeps flowing when normality is washed away. In fact, all the services we rely on us to do their job. You can't touch our connectivity, but it touches all of us. And like never before, people expect it to keep them connected in the most unusual locations. To help them use information to discover opportunities and innovate solutions. to make sure breaking news from anywhere on Earth transmits to everywhere on Earth. Inmarsat brings expertise and education, so those with little have a chance for more. Today, connectivity intertwines through all our lives. Modern life depends on it. Inmarsat. In touch on land, sea, and air, 24/7. In touch with our customers' needs, in touch with our futures. Inmarsat, the mobile satellite company.
I told you they'd do it better than I could. What I can tell you about is me. My name's Laura Schofield. Some of you may know me by my married name, Laura Sanford. I answer to, well, many things, but both of them. I started life as a chemist. This one, not this one. And from there I found analytics. So my journey actually starts in Manchester, in the UK. I am born and bred from the north. And I moved to Nottingham when I was 18, went to university, college, and stayed there for 8 years. I fell in love there with my husband, but also analytics. And we now live in a tiny village called Manchester. So a few of you might notice at least one trend here. The sky gets bluer the further southeast you go. But also, if I carry on my current trajectory, I'm going to retire in Lille. So I've been at Inmarsat for the past 3 years. I started out in the pricing team. I was a pricing analyst. And back in May 2016, I was spending my days generating reports that looked like this. They had pie charts, they had tables. This is just one of many tables. My highest count was an actual printed book that was 36 pages of tables with a few charts thrown in. And yes, that is a 3D line chart that I actually built. I know. It made me feel like this too, but it's what was asked of me, so it's what I built. And one of the other things that I was looking at was something we call a dual SIM plan. So at Inmarsat, as you heard, we sell mobile connectivity. And it's exactly the same as your cell providers, really. You get a SIM card, and you get a terminal in which to put that SIM card. Some of our plans come with 2 SIM cards for no added cost. And there's a few reasons you might want this. So if you're the captain of a vessel, a boat, you might want the crew to experience a different level of internet than you can. You might not want them to be able to access Netflix or Skype, for example. You might want to restrict that a little bit. Just as you might with your kids at home, you can set kind of parental controls, and then you yourself can have full access. You can also double your speed. So if you've got 2 channels open at the same time, you can get twice the amount of traffic through at any given time. Or you can ensure constant connectivity. And by that I mean, okay, have you ever been using your cell phone in a crowded city, you turn the corner and you lose all signal? That's because all of the buildings are blocking the signal to your phone. It's the same with our terminals. You have to have that direct line of sight from your terminal to the satellites in the sky. Now, a huge container ship might actually block one of those terminals in the same way the buildings are blocking your phone. So depending on its orientation, it might block its own terminal. If you put one on the front and one on the back, you get around that problem. But we do stipulate in the contract that if we give you 2 SIM cards, they have to be on the same boat. That's the only rule. Now, back in May 2016, this is what I was looking at. I had huge lists of data with GPS coordinates. They also had country on, and here I've put an easy example on there. So we can see that actually there's 2 SIMs in this list of data. One is in Barbados and the other is in Malta. Now, I don't know about anyone else, but I'm pretty sure there's not a boat out there big enough to exist in Barbados and in Malta at the same time. So this was kind of an easy argument at work that maybe these 2 SIMs weren't on the same vessel. But when I gave this to a sales manager, he would just say, nah, you can't prove it, we'll ignore it, we'll let them off. And that was my life for a year and a half at Inmarsat. And then we brought in Tableau. And I'm not gonna lie, at first I thought, it's just another way to build a table. Like, this is gonna be such a drag. But then in October 2016, I'd gone through some training. I'd seen what Tableau can do. I'd seen that you can create maps. And I got quite excited that I had all of this GPS data and was creating a table. But actually, what I could do, if I just flip to the other screen, and you're gonna see me type in a password here. It was right, so it's fine. But actually, if we plot 2 SIMs on a map in Tableau, we can see where those 2 SIM cards are. Now in this view, we've just got one package, which is a pair of SIMs. One's gonna be in orange, one's gonna be in purple. And I've put it onto pages. So if I click play, you'll see those appear in time. So at this point, I went out on a limb and I said, they're not on the same boat. So I printed this map, I took it to the sales manager and I said, I told you so. And he finally listened. He went back to the customer, and we were actually able to backdate invoices. We ran this across all of our dual SIM users, and I'm pretty proud to say that from this one single dashboard, we got a 6-figure ROI, which covered our entire cost of Tableau. So that's 65 desktop users, that's 300 server users, and that's training for every single one of them. So I went to my CFO, I told him I'd done this, I'd made him loads of money, and he said, great. He put me in his Christmas speech, and then he finished his Christmas speech with, now what? So the trouble with getting a 6-figure ROI within the first 12 months of Tableau is the expectation for more in year 2. And that's really where this talk kicks off. So at Inmarsat, I said, oh, we've actually got 5 more desktop users since I did the slide. So we've got 65 desktop users, we've got over 300 server users, and they're spread across the business. So we've got users in finance, we've got users in HR, in customer support, in the network operations. They're all the clever satellite people, the rocket scientists. And as I said, in the pricing team. So I mentioned earlier, I was generating reports that looked a little bit like this. And it was driving me mad. I was spending, on average, 2 weeks of every month working on one monthly report that got printed. So when we introduced Tableau, I asked my boss if I could skip the next month and if I could try doing something a little bit different. Now, I was very lucky that my boss was totally on board with me going off for the next month and squirreling away, trying something new. It doesn't always happen, but I'm pleased to say that now we've got a dashboard that works for the pricing team, and I think it's worth its weight in gold. But let's see what you think. So again, you'll notice that in red at the top there it says dummy data has been used. That's just like, I can't show you real data, but this is an exact replica of one of our dashboards that we've created. So this is looking at one of our products. It's got the number of active rate plans. That's what the pricing team uses as a major KPI. They're trying to reduce that. So you'll see that there's a big red triangle next to it pointing down. That's a good thing. You'll also see that our billed revenue is up. That's another good thing. You can track that year-on-year growth. You can see the 25-month trend. And you can also see in that top right corner that Pareto's rule of like the 80-20, it doesn't really fit here. We're actually the top 10 of 128 rate plans generate 2/3 of our revenue. That's why we're trying to reduce the number of rate plans we've got. And then at the bottom here, you can see some more KPIs that they wanted to see. You can see how the revenue is split between the overage, so that's our guaranteed monthly income, and then the overage charges. So that's when someone goes over their allowance. And then in the bottom right corner, I had to fight for this to look the way it is. So I hope you like it. It's the closing base. And that doesn't mean anything to any of you, right? But don't worry, we've got this handy tip button up here. Because we have the same problem at Inmarsat. We all have different definitions for different things. And one thing that I noticed was most of the discussions weren't, okay, well, what is the data telling us and what do we need to do? It was, what's your definition for this? So we put it right there for all of our users to see. And then the bars at the bottom just show the % of active users within that group. Now, before I built this, it was a chart, but for every number you see there, we also had the number of active users and then the percentage of active users. No one really cared. So I stopped putting all of those numbers on, threw it on as a bar chart, and there you go. And that's still used today, a year after I created it. So I said that it's worth its weight in gold, and I just want to kind of validate that a little bit. So previously, these reports were taking me 6 man days to create, at least. And it was a PowerPoint deck of 30 slides, which was then printed. They were static reports. As soon as you put something into PowerPoint, you have to save it as an image, otherwise it just gets too big of a file size. And there were also a lot of pie charts. Yeah. So instead of that, we've now got an automated report. The first time I touched this in a year since I created it was to actually take it back from the server so that I could show everyone. We've replaced that static report with a clickable dashboard, which actually leads to greater insights, and it embeds self-serve analytics within the pricing team. Now, what does all that mean? It means that we were saving 6 man days per month. I no longer needed to go in and create these reports every month. we got a reduced speed to insight. People got this report on day 1 that the new data was released, not day 7 once I'd actually put it into PowerPoint. And that meant that, unfortunately, the team could restructure and didn't need me anymore. But don't worry, I got a promotion, so it was fine. Thanks. So that's just one dashboard that we created. I'm probably not the only one here that is looking to migrate their legacy BI systems away from clunky, slow Oracle data warehousing over to something shiny and new in the cloud. That's us. That's what we're doing right now. And in fact, we've hired a consultant. She's been brilliant. She's been migrating all of these users and all of these reports. And I just want to point out here that this gets emailed out every single day. It's 27 pages long. Who is taking all that in? No one. Especially because as you scroll through that, you've got 2 pages of these stacked bar charts that, by the way, don't have any numbers on. Then you've got some tables that overlap. And then right at the end, as the creme de la creme, we've got this. Now, I actually want to print this and put it on my wall at home just to remind me why I do my job, like why I love Tableau, why I love visual analytics, and that's not it. So, as I said, we've had a consultant in. I'm going to flip to the other screen again real quick. And I'm going to show you what she's replaced it with. And that's not showing anything. Ooh, it's better than that. It's better than that. Here we go. So now, instead of getting a 27-page report that's in PDF format, that's static, that no one can really understand, oh, this is what you get when you ask a consultant to make you a video. Put the flipping name at the end of it. Claim all the credit. So instead of actually having that 27-page report, users get emailed dashboards in email format. So they still have that printable format. They can still save it and look day after day if they want to, how things are changing and compare them. But with the added benefit that with subscriptions in Tableau, if you click on it, it will take you to the server and you can actually interact with the viz itself. So again, I've blurred out all of the information here just to anonymize it. But you can see how much better these vizzes are. So we started out with just crazy stacked bar charts on the left, and we ended up with this rather quite beautiful viz on the right, which comes as a package. It gets emailed to everyone's inbox every single day. And the main benefits really come from subscriptions are so easy to manage. Is anyone actually using them at work? Brilliant. I'm preaching to the choir then. So our old PDF versions had been built many years ago. They were very static and clunky, and the user list that was sent to every single day was over 200 people long. So every time someone said, oh yeah, I quite fancy that, they just got added to the list. And when we reviewed this, over 40% of those users were no longer with the company. So we could cull a load of those straight away. It was also a completely indigestible 27-page PDF every single day. And I mean, I hope I don't have to tell you what's wrong with that stacked bar chart. So instead, everyone now gets digestible, clickable dashboards that they can actually interact with. They can also manage those subscriptions themselves. So if they see a report that they want to see, they can just sign up to it. We don't need to do that. And we can also remove people. So if they swap jobs, then we can take them off that. As a direct result of moving that one report from PDF over to Tableau, I'll be quick. So as part of that, we've begun retiring all of those legacy systems. We're actually closing the Oracle data warehouse and moving everything over to GCP, Google Cloud Platform, which means that we're saving on all of those licensing costs and all of the support, because most of the people that built those reports are no longer at Inmarsat. And there's also this huge reduction in support efforts. It's one dashboard that everyone can subscribe to, and it's got all of the security built in. So as I said, I'm nearly done. So key takeaways from this report, I've got report on my brain. From this talk, with one simple dashboard, that one map that you saw, we were able to recover the entire cost of implementing Tableau at Inmarsat. Woo, spoiler. We've developed a community that's empowered users across the business, and it's actually encouraged collaboration. The beauty of saving a report onto the server is everyone in your team can then see what you're doing. Oh, sorry, double click. And finally, Tableau has enabled faster, deeper self-serve analysis at scale. That's it. So you'll see this slide a lot. Please complete the session survey. It really helps all of us speakers with the feedback. But more importantly, thank you for coming. We don't really have time for questions, but if anyone does have any questions, please reach out to me. That's my email, that's my Twitter. You can find me on the app. Thank you.